What if the universe isn't actually, waiting for you to make the right choice?
Oh, that's a heavy question right out of the gate.
Right. But think about it. What if it's just waiting for you to do, well, literally something?
Just to make a move, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we spend so much time analyzing and optimizing, staring at the path, trying to find the perfect route.
And stressing over it.
Yeah.
The optimization trap is real.
It really is. But today we're looking at a cosmic alignment that suggests your perfectionism isn't actually keeping you safe.
No, it's actively keeping you stuck.
Yes. So, welcome to this deep dive, curated specifically for you. And we are standing right on the precipice of, honestly, a massive transition point. The date we are looking at is March 20, 2026.
Which is a profound pivot point. I mean, we are looking at a dual astrological event that just fundamentally changes the energetic landscape.
It's a huge shift. And to decode what this actually means for you, practically speaking, we are pulling from this really fascinating set of forecasts.
Yeah, the forecasts and the accompanying StoryScopes from Tarot by High C.
Which are just so cool because they don't just hand us a dry list of planetary transits and say, expect this to happen.
Right, which can get a bit textbook.
Exactly. Instead, the source material uses these two completely contrasting allegories to explain the mechanics and the energy.
It's such a unique approach.
It really is. For the first event, we get this sweeping, cinematic sci-fi space opera.
I love that one.
And then for the second event, it's a quiet, sort of Zen-like village fable.
The contrast alone tells you how dynamic this March 20th shift is going to be.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. We need to get straight into the engine room of this transition. So the first major event is the equinox, right?
Yeah.
With the sun moving into Aries.
Yeah, the sun in Aries. And if you think about the mechanics of the astrological wheel for a second, this period, which runs from March 20 to April 20, isn't just another month on the calendar.
No, because Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac.
Exactly. It coincides with the vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere, and the source material specifically calls this the cosmic refresh button.
The cosmic refresh button. I love that phrasing.
It's great, right? And that isn't just poetic language. It is deeply rooted in the biological and astronomical reality of spring.
Right, because, before spring can even happen, a seed literally has to break its own shell.
Yeah, to push through the dark soil.
Exactly. And that requires a kind of violent, unapologetic momentum.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. This period is fundamentally defined by boldness and really the breaking of hesitation.
Breaking the winter cycle.
Right. During the winter or the end of the zodiac cycle in Pisces, things dissolve, They rest, they get muddy.
They hibernate.
Exactly. Aries is the spark that says, okay, the resting phase is over, motivation returns. But noticeably, the source text points out that patience gets significantly shorter.
Oh, yeah. You stop wanting to plan. You're just demanding motion at that point.
You're done with committee meetings. Which brings us to the first story scope for Aries.
The sci-fi allegory.
Yes. It centers around a young navigator named Kale.
And his ship, the Venture of Ashes.
Such a good name. So Kale and his crew are slipping beyond mapped space. They're chasing down this broken transmission from a frontier colony.
But they don't find a colony, right?
No, they stumble upon something entirely different. A field of silent stars arranged like a giant circuit.
Just massive cosmic architecture.
Right. And at the center of this circuit is a structure the size of a small moon.
A small moon. And the terminology the source uses for this structure is so deliberate. Like, Civilisations had many names for it. The reset gate, the wheel that turns the sky.
But the most common name was the Dawn engine.
The Dawn engine.
Yeah.
And right on its surface, there's this impossibly simple luminous symbol. It's shaped like a handprint.
A glowing handprint on a moon-sized machine. But, the tension in the story doesn't actually come from the giant machine itself.
Oh, right. It comes from the state of the galaxy surrounding it.
Exactly. The text describes the universe as having settled into, a long winter of hesitation.
A long winter of hesitation. Entire worlds were completely paralyzed by endless deliberation.
Markets had stalled out.
Yeah, intergalactic councils were just arguing in these endless loops. Scientists were revisiting old theories they had already debated for decades.
Notice how closely that mirrors the psychological state a lot of us have been in recently?
Oh, it is deeply relatable.
Right. Everyone in Kale's story sensed that the old rhythm was dead, but absolutely no one was willing to make the first move to establish a new one.
Institutional paralysis. It's exactly like when you're staring at a blinking cursor at a blank document.
Oh, the worst feeling.
For like 3 hours. You are completely paralyzed by perfectionism. You're deliberating over the perfect opening sentence, running loops in your head, just terrified of writing the wrong thing.
You're stuck in your own personal winter of hesitation.
Yes. And eventually, the only way to break the spell is to just mash the keyboard.
Just type absolute garbage.
Exactly. You have to type garbage just to get the gears turning again.
Well, the universe in Kale's story was staring at that exact same blinking cursor. It didn't need a new theory. It didn't need another committee meeting.
It needed momentum.
Right. And that brings us to the pivotal dialogue on the ship. Lyra, the ship's engineer, looks at this giant glowing handprint on the Dawn engine, and she warns Kale.
Right. She's the voice of reason.
She says if legends are true, touching that could change everything.
And Kale just looks at her and responds, everything needs changing.
That's such a good line.
It's so good. So he descends to the surface of the machine. And he doesn't kneel. He doesn't pray to it. He doesn't run a diagnostic.
No tests at all.
None.
No.
He just walks up, says, no more waiting, and presses his palm right into the light.
And the source explicitly notes that the reaction wasn't apocalyptic destruction. It was acceleration.
Acceleration. Hesitation broke like ice under spring water. Old projects just resumed overnight.
Okay, but I have to stop you there and play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay, hit me.
Because if we look at this literally, isn't this raw Aries energy incredibly reckless?
Like acting just for the sake of acting.
Yeah. I mean, in almost every piece of sci-fi media ever created, if a crew finds an ancient alien artifact the size of a moon, and the captain just presses the giant glowing space button without running a test.
It usually ends in the destruction of the ship.
Exactly. Why is Kale's action framed as the solution here, rather than a massive cautionary tale?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, that is the exact pushback the source material anticipates.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It draws a very hard line between raw, reckless chaos and what it calls courage through motion.
Courage through motion. I like that.
Right. Because think about what happens the moment Kale touches the Dawn engine. The text notes that the visions tearing across his mind weren't fixed predictions of the future.
They were possibilities.
Exactly. Paths unchosen. Kale realized that the mechanism was never meant to choose a path for the universe.
It didn't magically fix the markets?
No, and it didn't solve the council's debates. It simply reminded the universe how to move. The era that followed wasn't called the resolution.
It was called the turning.
The turning. Oh, that completely shifts the perspective. The Dawn engine doesn't steer the ship, it just turns the engine back on.
You still have to drive.
You still have to drive, but you're no longer in park. And for you listening, this is the core practical application of the sun in Aries, period.
This energy demands confidence through action.
Yes. It is explicitly telling you to stop waiting for another private revelation before you start.
You do not need another brainstorming session.
No. You don't need another pros and cons list, and you definitely don't need to read one more self-help book. You need to press the handprint.
Beginnings are meant to be taken, not analyzed.
Exactly. So Aries acts as the ultimate spark plug. It provides the ignition and the momentum. But that immediately raises a massive logistical problem.
Which is?
If you just fire a spark plug and slam on the gas pedal, but your windshield is completely iced over,
You are going to crash.
you're going to crash. Raw momentum without visibility is dangerous.
Which is why the timing of the cosmos here is so elegant. The universe rarely hands you a gas pedal without also offering a steering mechanism.
And that steering mechanism is the second major cosmic event happening simultaneously.
Right. Starting on that same day, March 20, and running until April 14, we have Mercury going direct in the sign of Pisces.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To understand why this matters, we have to unpack the mechanics of what Mercury in Pisces actually is.
Yeah, let's break that down. Mercury is the planet of data, right? Communication, logistics, clear thought.
And Pisces is the deep ocean. It is intuitive, emotional, boundless, and really murky.
So if you put a filing cabinet full of logical data into the ocean,
The ink runs.
the papers get soggy.
Exactly. That is what Mercury in Pisces feels like on a good day. Add a retrograde to that, which is what we've been experiencing leading up to this, and communication gets entirely scrambled.
Wait, can we pause on that for a second?
Sure.
For anyone listening who only knows Mercury retrograde as like a pop culture buzzword for when your laptop breaks.
Right. Blame it on the retrograde.
Exactly. What does it actually mean mechanically for a planet to go direct?
So astronomically, a retrograde is actually an optical illusion. Because Earth and Mercury orbit the sun at different speeds, there are times when Mercury appears to be moving backward in the sky from our vantage point.
But isn't actually moving backward.
No, it's just a trick of perspective.
Yeah.
But astrologically, that translates to a period where our perspective on facts, our communication, and our internal narratives just get twisted.
We look at our own lives and see things backward.
Exactly. So going direct means the optical illusion ends. The planet appears to move forward again. The linguistic compass finally finds true north.
So the optical illusion is ending, the fog is lifting.
Yes. And the source material offers a highly specific, fascinating timeline for this. It states that as this fog lifts, information and insights will come forward specifically related to events that occurred around March '03.
I am stuck on that date, March '03.
It's very specific.
Why that exact Tuesday? What happened astronomically that points us back to that specific day?
This ties into the concept of a retrograde shadow period. A retrograde cycle isn't just the days the planet appears to move backward. There is a pre-shadow phase, where the planet first passes over the degrees of the zodiac. It will eventually reverse over.
Ah, okay.
So March '03 falls right into the territory where the initial confusion, the miscommunication, or the initial avoidance was seeded.
So it's like you walked past something around March 3rd and dropped it in the mud.
Yes. And the retrograde was you blindly feeling around in the dark for it.
And going direct is the sun coming up so you can finally see where you dropped it.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
The retrograde was hiding truths, and now the direct motion is handing them back to us as usable insight.
The text actually says we are going to finally understand where we were idealizing, romanticizing, avoiding, or, and this is the line that really hit me, refusing to say what we already knew.
Refusing to say what we already knew. Wow. That is the crux of this entire transit.
It really is. And to illustrate this deeply internal process, Tarot by Hazy C completely abandons the sci-fi galaxy.
We leave the spaceships behind.
Yeah, the second StoryScope gives us a fable about a young seeker named Tien.
The tonal whiplash is brilliant. We go from Kale, standing on a moon-sized machine, to Tien, living in a quiet village nestled between gentle hills.
It grounds the cosmic energy into something deeply human and,
Intimate.
it really does. So Tien is living in this village, and his mind is deeply clouded. The text compares his mental state to a river in winter thick with mud, moving sluggishly, full of unseen currents.
He is struggling to speak openly to anyone.
Right. Words are twisting in his mouth before he can get them out. Every single decision feels impossibly heavy, like each one carries the weight of countless stones.
Tien is experiencing from the inside out the exact same paralysis Kale's universe was experiencing from the outside in.
Yes. That's such a great parallel. Tien isn't lacking data. He is drowning in emotional fog.
Which is such a specific, heavy feeling. Let's pull Tien out of the ancient village for a second and look at what that actually looks like today.
That muddy winter river mind, that is exactly what it feels like when you have been putting off a difficult conversation with your boss or maybe your partner for like 3 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. Your brain has created 50 different worst-case scenarios.
You are romanticizing how bad it will be, or you're avoiding it by pretending the problem doesn't even exist.
And you're exhausted. Not from actually doing anything, but from the sheer emotional labor of avoiding the obvious truth.
The exhaustion of avoidance, that is exactly where we find Tien.
Right. So, one morning, he's walking through the monastery's garden, and an elder monk stops him. The monk points out the stubborn morning mist that is clinging to the trees in the path.
And he says to Tien, "Do you see the mist? It hides the path, yet it will not last forever."
And over the next few days, the physical environment literally mirrors what is happening astrologically. The sun pierces the haze, the soil becomes visible again.
And Tien feels this exact same shift internally. The conversations in his head that were so tangled just start to untangle.
Which leads to the pivotal realization of the fable. Tien is meditating beneath this old fig tree, and as the mist lifts, memories surface.
He sees moments he had overlooked.
Conversations he had embellished, and truths he had actively avoided.
And he asks himself a very difficult question. Why did I ignore these truths?
And the painful realization hits him that by avoiding the truth, he hadn't protected himself at all. He had only prolonged his own suffering.
We do this constantly. We convince ourselves that ignoring the reality of a situation is safer than confronting it.
Yeah, but the clarity Tien experiences isn't about learning something shockingly new. It reminds me of when you're tearing your house apart, looking for your lost car keys.
Oh my gosh, yes. You are frantic.
You are overturning couch cushions, you're sweating, you're stressed out of your mind. And then you casually reach into your jacket pocket, and the keys are right there.
They were there the entire time.
The clarity you experience in that moment isn't a new object entering your life. The keys didn't magically materialize. The clarity is simply the removal of your own frantic blindness.
You just finally noticed what was already on you.
Exactly.
The removal of frantic blindness. That is a brilliant way to capture the elder monk's final lesson.
What does the monk say?
What's fascinating here is when Tien brings his realization to the elder, the monk tells him, insight does not come from discovering what is new, but from seeing what was always there. The river has always flowed. You only had to notice its course.
Seeing what was always there.
For you listening, this is the profound promise of Mercury going direct in Pisces. The clarity coming your way over the next few weeks isn't going to be a lightning bolt of brand new information.
It isn't a shocking revelation that alters your reality.
No. It is simply the gentle, inevitable lifting of a temporary fog. It is the universe providing the atmospheric conditions for you to finally acknowledge the truth you already knew deep down.
But we're just too afraid or too confused to say out loud.
Exactly. Like Tien, you will find that the decisions that seemed impossibly heavy suddenly feel natural. They become stepping stones across a stream rather than, boulders on your chest.
I love that. So if we pull the camera all the way back and synthesize these two massive astrological events, the architecture of this March 20th transition is incredibly supportive.
It's handing you a dual energy that works in perfect tandem.
It is a flawless symbiotic relationship. On one side, you have Kale's energy.
Right, the cosmic refresh button of the sun in Aries.
It is the raw courage and the momentum to break the institutional hesitation of your own life. It gives you the power to press the handprint and just move.
And on the other side, you have Tien's energy, Mercury, going direct in Pisces.
It is the lifting of the mist, giving you the clarity to see the path you've actually been walking this whole time.
Aries provides the engine, Pisces cleans the windshield.
That is exactly it. And the overarching message bridging both the sci-fi epic and the quiet fable is identical. The waiting period is over.
You do not need to wait for another private revelation. The universe is waking up, the fog is clearing, and the insight you require is already sitting in your pocket.
You don't have to analyze the situation anymore. The cosmos is whispering one quiet, persistent command. Move.
Just move. It strips away all the complexity we build up in our heads.
Which brings us right back to the question we started with. What if the universe isn't waiting for the perfect choice, but just a choice?
The engine is running. The ice on the windshield is melting. You can see the road.
You can see it. So I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today as you step into this new astrological era.
Think about this one.
If true clarity isn't about finding new information, but simply stopping the exhaustion of avoiding what you already know, what is the one obvious truth in your life right now that has just been waiting for the mist to clear?
And what would happen if you finally pressed your hand to the dial today?